Finally. It came in. We can actually do something with the quadcopter. Okay, like I said just a moment ago, things are here. Things are finally here. Look, they're from China. They're halfway across the world. Goodness, it takes forever for stuff to get here. And we have another little project where things are here, but that project's useless until we get this running. Because if you remember, my quadcopter isn't running. It's broke. It exploded. It's exploded. Oh, God. So we're going to go ahead and fix that here. We're going to replace all 4 ESCs. And I've noticed a lot of people with questions recently about that, so I'm just going to go ahead and walk everyone through it and explain why things will spin the wrong way. So what have I got here? Well, I've got a quad with broken ESC. I decided, other than my cat showing up, that I needed a couple other parts. So I have a few other parts here. This is more than what I ordered, I swear. Goodness, okay. So, 4 Raystar 30 amp ESCs. Apparently a shipping label. I got some new pads because I'm going to be taking everything apart. And just for funsies, for when I explode that top plate, I got a 2mm version as well, just to make things a little more stable. So, let's go ahead and get started on this. So I'm not going to show you a list of what we need because I'm going to be figuring it out as we go. I know we're going to need a soldering iron, and we're going to need a hex wrench for everything to pull it all apart. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do this one at a time so I can make sure we don't mess anything up. So before we get started, there is one thing I want to show people because it seems to be very confusing on a couple of different forums I'm on and a couple of different Facebook pages. People are having trouble with their motors spinning backwards after they replace these ESCs. So what you have to look at is actually the direction the ESCs here are facing. You'll notice that these two don't look the same. That's because one is face up, the other is face down. That way, the motor wires can actually be just left to right, nice and pretty. With all of these, the sticker is more than likely going to be on the same side, so you'll accidentally end up placing everything face up, which will end up making half your motor spin backwards when you go pretty left to right. That's why people say switch 2 of the wires, switch the outer wires left to right, and it should fix the spin. Now me, I'm just going to make sure I install them in the right direction so everything stays pretty. So let's start by taking this thing apart. Okay. As you can see, I no longer have side plates. The things exploded on me. On a barrel roll, like I said, they flew out. Alright, in case you haven't seen my other videos, we're just kind of going to stumble through this as we go. So, as we can see, we have a white wire that runs from the ESC to a port on the flight controller. And then we have 2 cables that run over to a positive and negative on the PDB. So we're going to go ahead and remove the first motor here and everything and see what we can do. Oh, and by the way, I highly recommend picking up a magnetic dish. You can grab these at AutoZone for like, I think it was like $5, $3, something like that. But all your little metal screws and everything will stay because it's just a big old magnet on the back of the cup. It's a wonderful little piece of equipment. I use it both for the car and for any little projects I'm doing. Unfortunately, plastic doesn't stick, but it'll still hold them. And you don't have to worry about fishing around and finding all the pieces you've just lost. So I'm gonna set that right over here. Okay, but now let's go ahead and get the motor off. Okay, so on my quad here, in case you guys don't know, this is the Eachine Wizard X220. The soldering job seems to be ridiculous in nature, so I needed to get a little... throwing my sponge. Hang on. There you go. So I needed to get a little extra room here to be able to yank on these wires, because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to melt this solder. If not, we're gonna have to clip it. I'd rather not do that, but we'll see how well this goes. Alright, I had to turn my iron up to about 850, so you want a really light touch when you get to that point. But I was able to get it out of this ridiculous solder. So, we're good. Here's our first ESC off. Now what we want to do is take one of these racer stars. Come here. Alright, and it seems to have 4 wires on one side and 3 on the other already attached, which is interesting because I don't know if I'm going to need all of that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and desolder that here real quick. I'm not going to need those wires. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, now we're going to take one more look at this thing just to make sure I don't do anything stupid. And we got circuit boards on one side and circuit boards on the other. So, kind of going to take a guess here and go that the wires should probably be in the same direction that they were. So it should be on like that when I'm done. So, should go on like that. Alright, let's go ahead and get that attached. Okay, my camera battery may have died on me there, but as you can see, I now have all 3 of them stuck to the ESC. So let me change batteries real quick and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, now I can do one of 2 things. As you can see, this old ESC only has 1 wire on it for signal. The new ESC has 2 wires on it for signal. Two wires, So we can either use the ground pad. Here, let's see if I can get this up. We can use the ground pad that's on the flight controller underneath each white wire to plug in that ground wire, or we can skip it. And because my quad was built with only 1 wire, I'm not going to do any more messing about than I absolutely have to. So we're going to go ahead and take that black wire off here real quick. Okay, now that we've got that all taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and shrink wrap this here. I know I'm going to end up with like multiple layers on there, and it won't be the best for it, but I'm also thinking about not shorting things out on my carbon fibers, so... yeah. There we go, that feels about right. So let's take that. Pull out a heat gun. If you don't have a heat gun, a lighter will work just as well usually. In fact, I'm just going to use a lighter because my heat gun is out of juice at the moment and I don't want to have to go find more. So, there we go, all nice and shrunk. Yep, looks like I melted some of the old plastic on there, but that's okay. That's what happens when you use marine grade. And I've just put fingerprints all over it. Oh god. Okay. So there we go. Here's our first motor set up and ready to be attached. So let's go ahead and reattach that back to my quad. Actually, before we attach this, because I don't want to have this problem again, I'm going to go ahead and measure out and clip off some broken prop pieces here that I've collected over the course of my flying. I'm going to measure it out to right about there and there. Clip that off. I just all-purpose wire cutters here that I use for like everything. But we're going to go ahead and heat shrink all of this on with our super big, cool, awesome heat shrink, wherever I put that. Super cool, awesome heat shrink, thin wall polyfin heat shrink tubing. Got this from Micro Center. You can probably pick it up off of any electronics website as well. But we're going to slide that over here before we put the ESC on, get that in line, and heat shrink it all down as well. Okay, just a sec. I need to put this in my lap to do it right. Okay, there we go. Alright, all wired back in. Now we're going to make a quick stupid test. Alright, everything is wired up. I saw the motors twitch, so we're good there. Okay, so as you can see, positive white wire to white wire, positive to positive, negative to negative. Got the ESC flipped the correct direction, and I've heat shrinked a propeller that was broken over top of the ESC and everything just to see if we can prevent it from getting whacked again. So we're going to go ahead and do that 3 more times. Alright, well, I got everything wired up, and I went to plug in the battery, and I let out all the magic smoke. You'll notice, nothing is lighting up. Nothing has a light. So I'm totally SOL there. So we're going to have to order ourselves a new power distribution board. Joy. Okay, and ordered. Alright, now we gotta wait. Oh, thank God. It's a Maytech PDB. I picked it up off of Amazon, and it is supposed to be an exact replacement for what I have here in the Wizard. Let's see, does it look just about the same? Close enough for government work. That'll work for us. Alright, let's go ahead and get everything desoldered off of this one and get it on here. Alright, so this is... looks like it's just a newer version of the old one, PDB 425 amp, BC 5.5 volt 3 amp, and 12 volt 2 amp. Well, this is 12 volt 3 amp, this is 12 volt 2 amp. Hopefully that won't be the end of me there. Oh well, we'll give it a shot, not like it can hurt, right? Okay, I have everything soldered at this point. And we put it back together. Now for the test of truth. Is this going to turn on, or am I about to let out more magic smoke? Let's see. Woo! It's on. She's working. Everything beeped. This is awesome. All right. So at this point, let's go ahead and put her the rest of the way back together. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Now all we got to do is calibrate the ESCs, find that other little black nut that I'm missing. Oh, and put these pads on the bottom. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at this point. Hopefully I'll be able to fly her here sometime this week. But that's pretty much it. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you want to see my videos as they come out, go ahead and click subscribe. That'll help me out a lot too. But that's pretty much everything for today, so I'll see all you guys and gals on the flip side.